Hi ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders, welcome to another episode of Weekly Forex Outlook with Charts Engineering Pro. We really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video, and we do not take you for granted at all. If you haven't yet subscribed or you are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content we post here. And if you also find value with what we share here, be sure to like, drop your comments, share your views, and share this video to your fellow traders or anyone who would find this information useful. We'll also drop a link to the free Telegram group where we share updates of these setups as the week unfolds. And without wasting much time, let's get right into the economic calendar for the week, and we are going to tackle the recap at the end of this video. So for this week, there's no high impact news on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to have the USDCPI and also the Fed Chair's nomination votes on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have the core PPI for USD, and on Thursday, there's going to be a bank holiday for CHF, for Euro, and I think for GBP as well. Sorry, it's for Euro and for CHF. And then we have the GBP's GDP on Thursday, and later in the day, we're also going to have the core retail sales for USD, and then there's no high impact news on Friday. So let's see what we have for the coming week. This is DXY. So for DXY, last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back to retest this structure point, daily structure point, pulled back and give us a nice move to the downside. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is another possible pullback into this area of interest. Should we get a pullback into this area of interest, preferably before CPI on Tuesday, then we are likely going to see a crazy momentum from here to the downside after CPI is released. We actually didn't see a lot of volatility after NFP was released last week, but I'm believing that if we get this pullback before CPI on Tuesday, we're going to see a very strong sell move from this area of interest for the coming week. So we are very bearish on DXY. This is EURUSD. So for EURUSD, last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back to give us a possible right shoulder or a possible higher low formation, and then we got to that formation here. We were fortunate to get an entry here. So we are currently in this position. We are currently in this buy position, and after this reaction took off from here, we also saw an inverse head and shoulder formation. So this is the left shoulder, this is the head, this is the right shoulder. So we're anticipating a possible pullback or a retest to the neckline to give us a buying opportunity. Price pulled back, but we couldn't catch this additional position. But going into next week, what we'll be looking out for, just as we saw on DXY, we will be expecting or anticipating a possible pullback into this area once again, and look for buying opportunities from there to the upside to where we have our targets above. So we are still very bullish on EURUSD for the coming week. This can only be invalidated if price is able to clear these lows, and then we know that price is now shifting bearish. And as we saw last week, we are currently seeing a leading diagonal formation where we have this as the wave 1, the wave 2, and all this 5 wave as wave 3. And this is wave 4, and we are now anticipating the wave 5 to the upside. So we are very bullish on EURUSD. This is GBPUSD. So last week, similar to what we saw in EURUSD, we anticipated a pullback into this area of interest. We have the price pulled back nicely, give us a nice confirmation for an entry. We took our entry, and we are currently in profit on this position, and it's still running. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a slight pullback into this area of interest once again, and we look for buying opportunities to the upside. So if this pullback happens on Monday, between Monday and before CPI on Tuesday, then we are likely going to see a strong momentum from this zone to the upside for GBPUSD for the coming week. So we are very bullish on GBPUSD as well. So this is USDCAD. For USDCAD, at this point, USD is weak and CAD is also weak, so we might likely see a lot of consolidations on this pair. So I mean the strongest pair amongst the two wings, and as you can see here, we have this huge harmonic pattern right here. This entire move is a very big harmonic pattern, a potential harmonic pattern, which is the X, this is the A leg, this is the B leg, and we have the C leg developing here, and we're looking for it to a possible D leg somewhere there. So if we pick it from the B to C leg to, it's also likely giving us an inverse head and shoulder formation. So let's look at it. So we are likely going to see an inverse head and shoulder formation. We already have the structural shift on the weekly perspective right here, and this looks like a possible right shoulder which is about to take off. So this is the left shoulder, this is the head, this entire move here is the head, then this is the right shoulder, possible right shoulder, which we are looking for to see a buy from here to the upside. So going into next week, what we are going to do is we can see price reacting from a nice area of interest. What we'll be waiting for is to see price or a daily candle shift structure here. We get a daily candle structure shift here, or a daily candle breaks above these structure points over here. We'll look for it a possible higher low formation or a possible right shoulder formation. Look for buying opportunities and we take it to the upside for USDCAD. So we're also bullish on USDCAD, even though both pairs are both currencies are relatively weak. So we just have to be patient to see how price reacts from this zone. If we get the daily candle closure above, look for the pullback, and then we take our buys from here. So these are immediate targets that we're going to target if this happens. The ultimate target is at above. It's above, which will it's on a very higher time frame. So we'll rather consider these very three targets for now. If this happens, should this also pull back and clear these lows, then we know that price is shifting bearish on USDCAD. Until then, we are bullish on USDCAD. This is NZDUSD. So last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back. We anticipated that price was going to give us this higher low formation here, break above, come for retest, and continue to the upside. So we got that formation, but price didn't pull back into our area of interest as we expected. So going into next week, if price hits just this area of interest right here, and we can likely see a buy from here to the upside, or should price also pull back all the way back to the area of interest we were looking out for last week, we can still get our buying opportunity from here to the upside. So we are very bullish on NZDUSD as well. So these are the various targets we have about for NZDUSD. This is USDJPY. We dodged a bullet. We nearly took an entry. I think we nearly took an entry. Yeah, somewhere here. But then looking at the momentum that price was coming with and how USD was weak, we had to hold on for further confirmation. So what we're going to look out for is we're going to wait for a daily structure shift here. We're waiting for a daily structure shift here. If we get a daily candle break above the structure point, we get a daily candle break above the structure point here, we'll wait for a possible higher low formation, then we'll take our buys from there to the upside. So price is also currently reacting from a strong area of interest. So these are various targets we have for USDJPY. And currently the yen index is very weak, so we just have to look out for this buy on USDJPY. Even though USD is also weak, we are likely going to see this move to the upside, or probably give us a lot of consolidations before taking off. This is EURJPY. So for EURJPY, we have a nice reaction from our area of interest. So what we'll be waiting for is a daily structure shift. If we get a daily candle break above this structure point here, then we'll look for a possible retest and then we'll take our buys from there to the upside. This is actually a double bottom formation. So we're just waiting for this structure shift and we come for the retest and we take it to the upside. So these are the targets we have for EURJPY for the coming week. We also have here GBPJPY. For GBPJPY, it's a similar setup as EURJPY as well. So what we are waiting for is a possible structure shift here, a daily structure shift here, look for a possible pullback, and we'll take our buys to the upside. So we are extremely bullish on GBPJPY as well for the coming week. It's also more like a double bottom formation that is taking off from our areas of interest right here. This is EURCHF. So for EURCHF, last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back to any of these two areas of interest and give us selling opportunities to the downside. Price never made its way to the area of interest, and then it started moving in some way. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a possible pullback to rather hit this structure point. So we will still have these two zones in consideration, but then if we get a daily structure retest, if we're able to get price to pull back to retest this daily structure point here, price can likely move from here to the downside. Or if price also in a way finds its way back to the areas of interest we're looking out for from the previous week, we'll still take ourselves from there to the downside. So these are various targets we have for EURCHF. This is GBPCHF. So as last week we were looking out for, we've got this nice rejection candle, and we're looking out for an engulfing candle to possibly shift this weekly structure we have here. We had, a shift. We saw a move from there. We actually took this position. We got an earlier entry for this position. So we are currently in this position, and we are going to hold on to it. So this is what's happening. What we are waiting for is a possible daily structure shift. So if we get a daily candle close or break this structure point here, which is also a weekly structure point, if we get a daily candle break below, price will come for, we'll look for a possible lower high formation, and we'll look for a continuation to the downside. So we are currently in this sell position, and we're going to hold on to it for the weeks ahead of us. And if we get this shift as we have been waiting for, we'll look for another additional position and target the targets we have below for GBPCHF. This is CADCHF. So last week we were anticipating that price was going to pull back, was going to sell and give us, we were expecting that price was going to sell, give us a retest at this area of interest and continue to the downside, but we saw a very strong momentum and we didn't get that retest. So going into next week, what we're looking out for is a possible pullback into this area of interest we have right here. If we get a pullback here, look for selling opportunities from here to the downside. These are the immediate targets we have. We also have an extended target or two extended targets below. If price gives us a very strong momentum through these targets we have here, TP1, TP2, then we are likely going to head all the way down to this TP3 and TP4. So we are going to look out for selling opportunities on CADCHF since we have CAD to be weak. This is AUDCHF. So for AUDCHF, we are looking forward to a daily structure shift. If we see a 4-hour candle close below this structure point or daily candle close below this structure point, we'll wait for a possible retest of this area of interest right here. We'll look for selling opportunities to the downside. So these are the various targets we have for AUDCHF for the coming week. So we just have to be patient to see how price moves, and we'll pull our trigger or take our action and see how it goes. This can only be invalidated if price finds its way to break above these highs and continue to the upside. Until then, we are very bearish on we are more bearish on AUDCHF than bullish for the coming week. This is EURGBP. This move has been very slow. So last week we identified this huge head and shoulder formation on a weekly perspective. If you switch to the monthly perspective, it's a double top. So this whole move right here, we have this left shoulder, we have the head, we have the right shoulder, and we are looking forward to a continuation to the downside. So we're anticipating price to retest this structure point. We anticipated that price would pull back to retest either this daily structure points we have here. Price has retested it, but we've not gotten any strong confirmations from there to take our sell. So going into next week, if we start seeing selling confirmations here, we'll take our sell to the downside. But preferably, if price pulls back to this area of interest, that is where we'll be looking out for our selling opportunity proper to the downside for EURGBP. So we are very bearish on EURGBP for the coming week, and these are the various targets we have below for EURGBP. This is GBPNZD. So for this, we took a break even on this position. Yes, it took a break even. Where is that setup? It took a break even on this position. We put a buy around here, and then we price retrace back to hit our break even. And as we can see, we are reacting from a weekly area of interest, and price is on the weekly perspective, price is bearish, and we have this strong reaction from this area of interest. So going into next week, we are likely going to see a potential harmonic pattern develop. This is the harmonic pattern we are looking for. We are possibly going to see a bat pattern formation where we have this as our X, this will be our A, this will be our B leg, this will be our C leg, and then we are looking forward to a possible D leg formation. So what we are looking out for is a possible pullback to retrace this daily structure point we have here. Then we'll take ourselves from there to the downside. So we are very bearish on GBPNZD for the coming week. This is EURNZD. So we actually took a loss. So last week we took another buy position here, and it's run straight into our stop loss. So we took a loss on this position on EURNZD. Going into next week, we are just going to wait for a possible pullback into this area of interest and look for selling opportunities to the downside. So we are also very bearish on EURNZD for the coming week. So you just have to wait for the pullback, see the reactions we're going to get from this zone, then we take ourselves to the downside for EURNZD. This is AUDNZD. So for AUDNZD is also reacting from a very strong area of interest, and we already have a daily structure shift here. So what we are going to wait for is a possible lower high formation to this area of interest. We take ourselves from here to the downside. So we are also very bearish on AUDNZD for the coming week. This can only be invalidated if price breaks these highs and makes its way all the way up. Until then, we have shifted bearish on AUDNZD on the daily perspective and then the 4-hour perspective. We have here GBPCAD, and GBPCAD is giving us a certain formation. If you look at it critically, it is forming a possible inverse head and shoulder on a very large scale. This is a weekly time frame. Price reacted from a very strong area of interest, and now it's giving us something like this. We are likely going to see a possible inverse head and shoulder. So this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and this is the right shoulder, which is already developing. So we are likely going to see a move all the way up from here. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a possible pullback into this area of interest. We're looking forward to a possible pullback into this area of interest right here, this very first area of interest. Should we get buying opportunities here, we'll take our buys to the upside. Should price pull back all the way back down to the second zone below, we'll still take our buys from here to the upside. So we are very bullish on GBPCAD. This can only be invalidated if price finds its way to break or clear these lows, and then we know that price has shifted bearish. Until then, we are extremely bullish on GBPCAD, considering that CAD is very weak. And if CAD goes extremely weak, we're also likely going to see some weakness in crude oil prices. So we'll look at that as we go ahead. This is EuroCAD. EuroCAD is also having a similar structure as GBPCAD. So all we'll be looking out for the coming week is a possible pullback to this very first area of interest before buying opportunities to the upside, or should price pull back into the second zone we have below, we'll still take our buys from there. And if that happens, we are likely going to see a potential harmonic pattern formation, and this will be our X, our A, our B. So we're waiting for a possible C leg, then we'll continue to the D leg above. So we are looking out for this pullback before we take our buys to the upside on EuroCAD. This is NZDCAD. So last week, this was one of the high probability setups we had. So we were looking for a structural shift here on this daily structure point here, and we're waiting for a pullback to hit that structure point for price to take off to the upside. The momentum was so strong that price didn't make its way all the way back to retest this structure point. So going into next week, we are looking forward to a possible pullback to this very first area of interest. We'll take our buys to the upside. Should price also come all the way down to retest this structure points again, we can still look for buying opportunities from there to the upside for NZDCAD. So these are various targets we have for NZDCAD, and so we are very bullish on NZDCAD for the coming week. This is gold, and so for gold is developing something slightly developing a triangle formation, what do you call it, an Elliott wave triangle formation. It's forming something like that. So if that's the case, then we have this as our A, B, C, D, and we look for a possible E leg, or price can develop something else altogether. It can form a different pattern altogether. But then for now, we just have to look at the bullish side of things for gold. And last week we were looking for a possible double bottom formation right here at this area of interest, and we had a very nice move. Price played out perfectly as we were anticipating. So we have this double bottom formation here. All we are looking out for is a possible retest of this double bottom, the neckline of this double bottom, and we can get price to take off from there to the upside. So we are just waiting for a possible pullback, and if you drop down to I think the 1 hour time frame, you can see that price is shifting, or I think even the 4 hour price has shifted bearish, or price is forming something like a head and shoulder formation. So this is the 1 hour time frame, and price is likely forming a head and shoulder. So this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and this is the possible right shoulder, and even with the possible right shoulder, it's also forming a possible head and shoulder also. So this is the left shoulder, the head, and the possible right shoulder for the entire right shoulder of this head and shoulder. So what we'll be looking out for is you can probably wait for price to shift this structure point here. You get a pullback, then you sell to the neckline of the double bottom we are looking for it to take our buys from. So if you want to take this position, you just have to wait for the shift and see how price plays out. Then you can take your sell, then TP at the neckline of this double bottom. Then from there, we'll be looking out for our buys to the upside for gold. This is silver. We actually caught this nice position on silver. So last week we identified this nice flag formation, and we saw a price breaking out, and all we're looking out for is a possible pullback or a possible lower high formation, higher low formation for us to take our buys to the upside. We caught this nice move on silver last week, and so going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a possible pullback for a continuation. So if we get a possible pullback to hit this area of interest, we'll take our buys. We look for buys from here to the upside. Or should price also retrace all the way back to this area of interest we have here, we'll still look for buying opportunities from here to the upside. And what we can also be doing is, if this can be seen as a harmonic pattern, then we are likely going to see a potential cipher or shark pattern developing on silver. So if this plays out as a harmonic pattern, it's going to be a X, it's going to be the A, it's going to be the B, it's going to be the C, and the C leg give us an inverse head and shoulder formation, and price give us a nice flag for pattern to retest the inverse head and shoulder neckline, and then price is taking off. So going into next week, what we can be looking out for is possible flags like this, what we saw here, to add positions all the way up. Or if we get price to retest the areas of interest we are looking out for, we'll still look for buying opportunities from there to the upside. So let's be on the lookout. So these are the various targets we have for silver, should it play out as a harmonic pattern. And looking at how price is moving, we might likely see a lot of flag formation to give us continuations to the upside, just as we see here. So we see this strong impulse correction, which is a flag. So as this impulse keeps going, we're likely going to see another correction or a flag, and we'll continue the buys to the upside. So we are very bullish on silver for the coming week. This is crude oil, and so for crude oil, this is UK oil, so Brent crude oil, sorry. And so going into next week, we have a very strong reaction from this area of interest, and if the P stocks goes through, we are likely going to see price fall from this where it is currently. So we are likely going to see a possible pullback into this area of interest. We look for selling opportunities. Our first target is around $84 per barrel, and this strong area of interest is what would be our ultimate target for the sales, which is $75 per barrel to $66 per barrel for Brent crude oil. And as we identified some weeks ago, I think when the misunderstanding or the tensions began in the Middle East, we were looking for a potential harmonic pattern. So what we are seeing here is the X, the A, the B, and we are likely going to see the pullback of the C leg, which is going to land in this area of interest. Then from here, we are likely going to see a strong buy to the upside. So when price gets here, it's two things. Either maybe some tensions somewhere which is going to affect the crude oil prices to drive it all the way back up, or some sort of catastrophe or pandemic or anything can happen within this zone. If this zone gets broken, or if price closes below with a monthly candle below this structure points here, then price is just going to dip. But if price pulls back to this area of interest, consolidates around and builds some momentum here, you're likely going to see some strong impulsive move to the upside, and I don't know what is going to cause that. So let's be on the lookout for that. But for now, we are bearish. We are yet to see the B to C leg formation, which is going to target the $66 per barrel to $75 per barrel for Brent crude oil. This is USOIL, or the WTI crude, which also has a similar formation. So it's also forming a potential harmonic pattern. So what you're going to look out for is a possible pullback into this area of interest. So now we are bearish. We're looking forward to a possible pullback into this area of interest, before selling opportunities to the downside, which our first target will be $81 per barrel. Then our ultimate target will be between $61 per barrel to $70 per barrel. So this is going to be our target before we now look out for what's going to happen within this zone when price hits this zone we have below. So we are bearish on the US oil as well, or the WTI crude. We have here BTC. So BTC, we have been looking forward to this pullback into this area of interest to get selling opportunities to the downside. Price has now made its way into the area of interest. So what we'll be looking out for is possible rejections or some selling confirmations, maybe head and shoulder, double top. We're just going to look out for reversal patterns within this zone to see how price reacts. Then we take ourselves to the downside to the zone between $46,000 and $58,000 for BTC. The worst case scenario is going to be $35,000 if price begins to sell. We have here Ethereum. So for Ethereum, price has also is currently in a strong area of interest. So what we're going to be looking out for is some reversal patterns or some structural shifts right here in this zone. So should price on a daily perspective, price has already shifted bearish, but then if we get price to shift these structure points here, we are likely going to see a possible pullback. Then we see some selling opportunities to the downside for Ethereum. So we are very bearish on Ethereum for the coming week. So now let's see what the recap of some of the positions we took last week. So we caught this buy on AUDJPY last week, and we are currently holding on to this position. So we are in this buy for AUDJPY, and this was called in the free Telegram group. And also we caught this buy on NZDJPY. So we are currently in this buy position on NZDJPY as well, and it was also called in the Telegram group as well. So if you are yet to join the free Telegram group, check the link in the description and then join the group so you can get updates on these setups as the week unfolds. And I think for AUDCAD, we missed out on the trade. Price moved as we expected, but we couldn't catch any trade on it. So we were anticipating that price was going to shift structure here. Price shifted the structure. We were waiting for a possible pullback, but it never came, and price just kept going up. So we missed out on this position on AUDCAD. And thank you so much for sticking through to the end of this video. I really appreciate you for your time and for being here. And I will encourage all of us to apply proper risk management to our trades. Let's trade safe and sound. And I wish all of us a profitable week ahead of us. and I'll catch you guys on another episode. So take care of yourselves and have a wonderful time. Bye bye.